welcome to another episode of Scottish Football Matters with me, Murray, and my good friend Lorenzo.
Hello.
This week we're going to discuss the weekend's fixtures. We will have a little chat on the Celtic manager search, which looks like it's coming to a conclusion with the new manager looking to possibly start this time next week. We'll have a wee touch on the Rangers sackings for Kevin Thelwell and Patrick Stewart, and we'll do a wee preview of the three European ties for Rangers against Braga, Celtic against Feyenoord, and Aberdeen against Noah. So let's how's things anyway? You all
Yeah,
good?
I'm all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically had a good Saturday night eventually. Obviously with the late winner, I was getting a bit worried, obviously, but
We'll
we got
touch
there.
on that and we'll touch on other games, but I think the best place to start is just Saturday afternoon. We'll just go through all the games. I think we'll go with probably the shock of the weekend, but it really shouldn't be.
Okay.
Dundee United 0, Falkirk 3. Falkirk are really impressing me. Um,
Aye,
every time I see
pretty
them,
good.
they look better and better.
Hmm.
Um, and I took it. I know it sounds bad, but I took next week as a bit of a banker. But I'm not looking at it that way now because I honestly think they could cause Rangers. They're kind of all wrong for Rangers in the fact that they do counter attack pretty well, and Rangers do still make it quite easy to play against.
Yep.
But mainly on the Falkirk though, I thought you could look at it two ways, right? The goalkeeper for Dundee United had a howler, right? The
Oh,
whole you'd I
three
don't blame him
howlers.
for the third goal. I don't blame him for the third one. I think the boy rounds the keeper. That happens to a lot of great keepers, but the first two
Should have
are
saved the first one.
absolute. The first
And
two are his fault.
I don't know what
Yeah,
happened with the second goal. I mean, he punches it,
punched it in
and
the net. Aye,
it's as if
terrible.
he's like maybe he's punched it
I think it's
with the
just
wrong
caught at the back of his hand, aye, and
back
it's
of
just
eye.
went in. But remember, Jack Butland done one at Old Trafford, didn't he?
Nah,
Punched it in his own net. It
it's just it's
happens.
a freak goal, isn't it? It's a freak goal.
But you could tell he was just spooked by the first goal, and that happened because of
Mm.
that.
Aye.
I don't really blame him for the third goal. I think it's a good ball through, and sometimes you've got to praise the striker. He went round the keeper. He took it quite wide, but he still finished it. So
Mhm.
fair play. But I think overall, I think Dundee United are a wee bit like that. They're up and down. Like they can get a point against Hearts, and then they
Aye.
can muck up. I could see them taking points off Rangers and Celtic. I mean, they did take a
Hmm.
point against
They're
Rangers,
hot
and
and
I can
cold.
see them. I can see them taking a point off Rangers and Celtic later on in the season. But you can also see them losing to Livingston and Falkirks. They're just a wee bit. I don't think they're at the top six level. I think that's fair to say.
No, I don't
Um,
think they will. I don't think they'll finish
but I
there
don't
now.
think they'll be anywhere near relegation either. I think they're going to be somewhere at the end of the season between seventh and ninth,
Ah, they'll be too good for
um,
relegation. They're too good to go down.
in a comfortable spot, but still a very Jekyll and Hyde team. But fair play to Falkirk though, because
Hmm.
they're getting the points on the board, and they're getting the points on the board that are making me start to think that they might not be in the relegation dogfight when it comes down to it, because you're looking right now and you think Livingston, Kilmarnock, Dundee look a lot weaker. I'm not going to name any other teams because I do think Aberdeen are below them, and Motherwell are below them, but they, I think, do have more quality.
Do you
But
think?
those three that I just mentioned, I think Dundee, Kilmarnock, and Livingston look the three weakest
Hmm.
at the
Do
moment.
you? Do you think that Falkirk can finish in the top six, or is that a bit much?
I think that's a bit much, but I don't think they'll be far off it. I think
No,
you could.
maybe the
I
top
think
of the
they'll.
bottom six.
Aye, I think they'll be there or thereabouts. But I think if we move on, I think fair play to Falkirk. They're a great win.
Hmm.
Dundee United,
Really good.
pretty poor. Uh, Next one I think we'll discuss is Kilmarnock Motherwell.
Mhm.
It kind of went how we thought it would. That Motherwell would be good, but we weren't sure whether Kilmarnock would get a point because
Yeah,
they've drawn a lot of games, and
Motherwell play a lot of good football.
I do think 3-1 slightly flattered them, but the penalty later on just makes it takes the game
It,
away. But
it was a penalty. I don't know why it went to VAR. That was a penalty all day long.
no, no. Actually, if it wasn't for Callum McGregor's goal, I think Kilmarnock scored the goal of the weekend for me because I thought that was lovely. Just four passes and they
Hmm.
got a goal. I mean, I think it was in the right back position, passed into midfield, one pass to the sort of number 10, ball
Yeah.
through, finish. I loved it. I like goals like that where you go, you don't need. do 50, 60 passes like sometimes Rangers
Mm-hmm.
and Celtic make it look like. And also you can do what Livingston do and do one pass and score, but I think there's a bit more quality in that sort of like pass goal, and I
Yeah.
liked it. But I think Motherwell were deserving of the victory. But I don't think there was actually that much between the sides.
No, there wasn't. But Motherwell did
That
deserve to win the game.
Masveniche, I think we need to talk about him
Oh,
because he's getting a lot of goals, and
I think
I
he
think
might be
he's
away in January if he keeps it
well. I
up.
think he's well. Technically, I think he was out of contract at the end of the season, but they've got an option for another year. But
Right.
I'd be very surprised if Celtic and Rangers went looking at him, because if you look at Maeda, right, and if he does go,
Mm-hmm.
I think Masveniche could play from the right. He can play through the middle. I think he's the sort of player
Think he's
that
good enough for Celtic or Rangers? Think he's good enough?
I think he's what 23, 24, and I
Mm-hmm.
think he can get better. And that's the thing.
But
And he knows the
is
league.
he right-sided?
He is right-sided,
Right.
so he wouldn't come in on his left foot or anything like that. But
Right.
he would give you that option though.
Because
When,
we've got too many left wingers at Celtic. I'm just hoping he's a right footer.
but he does seem to play on the. He's a right footer that plays on the right. Weirdly, I
Aye,
know it's old-fashioned now to
I
see a
know.
right winger go to the byline or be at the back
You normally
post to
see
finish. But he can play
a
through the
left winger
middle
playing the
as
right.
well, which I
Mm-hmm.
think he could be quite a useful player. And I think, I'd be very surprised if Rangers weren't looking at him too, because there's a lot of talent there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, yeah, fair play to Motherwell. They ground out the win, and they seem to get a lot of penalties, because every time I see that Stamatopoulos, he seems to be
He's
scoring a
scoring
penalty.
penalties.
I know. I think he's got 5 goals this season, and 4 of them are penalties. But
Aye.
so I mean, I'm not saying he don't deserve them. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm just saying he just seems to pop up with penalties, and
That's
you'd have
right.
thought Masbeniche would be like, Bolt, I'm on a hat trick here.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I think Motherwell, fair play, another good win.
Yep, another
Next
3
game I suppose
points.
we can speak about is Hibs Dundee. I think that was fairly routine. Bowie missed an absolute sitter before he scored,
He's got
but
to, but I know he scored, but he's got to start making the chances that he's missing count, or he won't be
he
on the
can't
plane
miss
for the
headers like
World
that for
Cup.
6 yards.
Mm-hmm.
But he did take his goal well, and I think I read. I think he scored something like 6 in his last 4 against Dundee. So I'm guessing he just wants to play Dundee every week.
Well, that's it.
You get people
Dundee's
like that. I
that's
remember
obviously their bogey team.
Sakala used to always score against Motherwell, but nobody else.
Mm-hmm.
And Itten scored most of his goals against Motherwell as well. It's just you get players that just like playing against certain teams, but it was fairly routine for Hibs. As routine as it gets, really. I mean, they scored a couple of goals and they
Aye,
missed a couple of chances, but they never looked in trouble, apart from that wonder save for the goalie,
aye, and
Salinger, late on.
Dundee are poor, aren't they?
They're going to finish in the bottom 3. I'm fairly sure of that. Whether they finish 10th and they're safe, whether they finish in the playoff or the
Do
bottom,
you,
I don't know.
do you think Stephen Presley sees out the season, or do you think he remains in the position, or do
Yeah,
you
I
think
think he's done enough to suggest that he can get sporadic results, but I don't know that sporadic results will be enough to get them that 10th place. Because I also look at Livingston and I go, I think Martindale, although they're on a bad run and they certainly didn't get any luck, but we'll get onto that in a minute.
no?
But they are a decent team, Livingston. I think they'll grind out results. I could see them going to St Mirren and winning, but I can't really see Dundee doing that, if you get what I mean. And I also think Kilmarnock will get results on their home pitch.
Aye,
So I would worry about Dundee, about how many of the big results they can get against each other.
because
But
they're not doing that against the teams
I
run about them.
know I know it's November, right? But I would be massively surprised if that wasn't your bottom 3 in some sort of order. Dundee, Kelly, and Livingston.
Livingston,
I think
yeah.
that they are a good bit weaker than the other.
Unless there's a miracle and one of them
Well,
gets out of it,
you know that,
then
but you also know that sometimes teams like Aberdeen, who this time last season were talking about title challengers, and they went on a 12-game losing streak. If something like that happens to a team, then obviously they could be in there. But Kelly seem to be that team. I think they've lost their last 7, and I think
yeah.
Kettlewell could be under pressure
He's only just took the job as well. I
because,
mean, he only started in the
uh,
summer, didn't he?
yeah. I suppose we'll finish off with the fourth one, which is the afternoon Saturday ones, which is Rangers Livingston.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the best way to describe, we'll talk about the VAR controversy in a minute, but I think Rangers started the game quite well.
Yep.
Scored a lovely goal for a set piece. Shows what happens when you get a set piece coach in it. He scored from a set piece.
Mhm.
Well, it does help that you've got an 8-foot giant to the ball, but then Rangers did what Rangers did. They seemed to be a bit passive for the next 5-10 minutes, and then one
Yep.
long ball takes out the two centre backs, and I'm going to give them a wee pass, right, because it was their first time playing together, right? So
Mhm.
I can understand wee bits where they're too far apart, or one's expecting somebody to do something. Because in the
Mhm.
second half, they actually dramatically improved. So I think
Aye.
that comes down to like good coaching. So Danny Rowe obviously said something to them and said, "Look, you need to be closer together. You need to talk to each other."
I
But we'll
think
get to the controversy
I
because
think the Livy goal was a good one. Over the top, ball over the top,
it was,
and
well,
behind.
it is good. But you look at it for two ways, don't you? You can look at it as it's direct, one ball,
Yep.
but
They
you look at
tried
it from a
to go to
defensive
VAR with
point
it
of
to see if
view.
it was offside, but it wasn't offside.
Yeah, it was close actually, but it wasn't offside. But
It was
there
tight.
was
It
one
was tight.
angle that I looked at it and went, "Oh, that could be." But then when
Mm.
you actually seen it, because you can see the lines in the pitches, can't you? At the good stadiums, you can kind of see. You go, "Ah, bastard!"
Aye.
But then Livingston should get a penalty. I'm not even going to argue it.
Oh,
And by the way,
Stonewaller all day long.
this goes on to what I said the other week,
He moves
right?
his
I
hand
said
toward the ball. He actually moved up his hand toward the ball.
I don't think he means it though, because I think
No,
that
he
is,
doesn't mean it.
I,
But he's
I
obviously
think that's
running.
just
So,
that's the direction of travel.
uh,
Like his
uh,
arms go that way,
but see
right?
if his arm
But
doesn't go that way, the ball's gone toward the net. It might not go
see,
in, but it's gone toward the
that's
net.
my issue is that the ball. I wouldn't like to think that. I think it's a penalty, right? I don't think it's any more than a yellow card though, because there's no. To me, there's no force in the shot that isn't. I don't even know if it's going on target. If I'm honest, I've looked at the angles and it kind of looks like it could be going wide, but you can't tell.
Don't know. No,
It's difficult for the angles, but I didn't look at it like it was something that was a shot that was goal bound. So, from my opinion, I think it's a penalty and a yellow.
I think it's a
Similar to
penalty,
similar to Ralston's in
probably a
that
yellow.
his arm's in the way. You can't really do much about it, but it
Yep.
is a penalty.
But
I
it
still
does
don't
look as if
like
it's
them.
heading. To me, it does look as if it's heading toward the net. Because if his
Yeah,
hand isn't
I
there,
thought through it first, but then when I actually see where Fernandez's body position is, he's quite a far bit wide of the post, and the ball isn't travelling inwards. It's kind of travelling quite straight. So
yeah.
I don't think it's going towards goal, but I do think it's a Stonewall penalty. And I said the other week that because Rangers got some terrible decisions recently against obviously Hearts in the league game, and then in the cup semi, you knew that the SFA were going to give Rangers the decision to go, "Oh, we're not biased," but it's still cheating. It's still
I know
cheating.
it
It's
is. Of
still
course it is. You
because
take
it's
a look. You can see it's
Livingston.
a Stonewaller.
Yeah, and I
And
don't
even
like it because
even the second goal, Murray, even the Rangers' second goal, I think it's a foul on the goalkeeper.
I don't. Oh,
You
I'll
don't?
explain why though. I'll explain why, because the keeper just completely shits out of it and doesn't. And he makes the contact with Miovski, but see if he's
Right.
braver and comes in one. We'll get on to the winning goal because the ball through is brilliant. Miovski's time of the run is brilliant, but what happens is I think Miovski expects the keeper to come and make a real challenge, but the
Aye.
keeper hesitates, and it's the only mistake the keeper made all day. He hesitates, and in that pause, it gives Miovski the chance to flick it away from him, and then the keeper comes and they collide. That's just a football collision. It's not a foul by Miovski. It's not a foul by the goalie. It's just one of those that Miovski gets to the ball first. Because if
Mm.
anything, you would give a penalty because
Well,
Miovski
maybe if he
gets to the
didn't
ball first.
hesitate, he might have got the ball. You never know.
Yeah, I have to think it was just. Do you know? I think he thinks he's offside, and I think he's thinking he's
Possibly.
offside, and
Aye.
it maybe just because I think the boy's a good keeper. That Prior, every time I've seen him for Livingston, I
Mm.
thought he's a fine goalkeeper. But
Aye, he's all right.
I don't necessarily think that Rangers deserved the win, but they ground it out. And what I would say is that sometimes you need
No,
that
I
wee
would
bit
say
of
they were
luck.
lucky. I would say they were lucky.
Yeah,
They were lucky.
I did think they were okay in the first half though, and they were better in the second half in terms of organised, but they didn't create a lot. That was my main issue is that
Mm.
you didn't see that keeper. That keeper wasn't busy. I mean, our keeper wasn't busy. There was one good save for Butland, but you wouldn't say that. Do you know what? It was actually a poor game between two sides who really didn't create a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see why. Livingston are near the bottom of the league, and you can also see why Rangers are struggling. So I think everyone's just got a red card. I've just seen,
I see
but
that. I disagree. I was wondering why he was
yeah,
walking off the pitch there. I was wondering why.
but But what I would say is that I think Rangers they ground it out, and when Danny Rule took over, we said it's not about pretty styles, it's not about that, it's about getting results
It's about winning the
and
games.
getting to January. And we'll come on to getting results and getting to January because I think that takes us to St Mirren against Celtic, where,
Yeah.
in my opinion, St Mirren were the better side in the first half, quite comfortably actually, because Celtic were terrible in the
Oh,
first half.
Celtic were
Uh,
rotten.
they
Yeah.
didn't start the game, and I thought St Mirren. I don't think they were unlucky not to score because they only really hit the post and had one across the goal, which
Hmm.
nobody touched, but they didn't
Aye.
create enough with their good play.
Well, they only had.
And then
I
I
think
think
they only had something like at the end of the game. They only had 2 shots on target, same as us. I think something like that.
both for Celtic shots on target came after 90 minutes though. That's how bad Celtic were.
I know.
But
I know.
uh,
That's how
but at half
terrible
time I
we
felt
were.
like Celtic did up it a wee bit. They upped the tempo a wee bit, but McCowan made a wee bit of a difference in terms of energy, but they still didn't create anything. And I think they only really
Hmm.
had the wee Maeda flick header that went just wide, quite similar
Yep.
to the St Mirren one, where you're looking for somebody to come in at the back post and bang it in.
Yep.
And then there's two incidents in this game. What I'm going to talk about the winning goal first,
The,
right?
right.
Because I don't think that has any controversy for it, other than the fact that one, it's a brilliant strike for Callum McGregor, but
Superb.
two, I think that St Mirren will have massive regrets about taking Bacchus off and bringing on Donnelly. Now, not because Donnelly's not a good player, but you
No,
don't bring a central
they
midfielder
were
on.
doing that to waste time. Really,
I know.
they were
You
done
don't
it
bring a
right at the
central
end of the game.
midfielder on in the 91st minute
Hmm.
when the guy you're taking off has stayed next to McGregor the whole game and not given him an inch.
Hmm.
And the fact that that boy, and it's not his fault, but he just wasn't up to speed. And
No,
McGregor shifts it to the left, and his legs aren't up to speed because a normal footballer, you move in the right direction, you can block that. But McGregor's playing against a guy who's just on the pitch, and he takes advantage. And what a wonderful strike, it has to be said.
I was
And
a belter. I have to laugh at Andy Halliday though. Andy Halliday said tonight that he thought that the goalkeeper should have saved that, and I'm thinking, are you
no,
serious?
no, I
The
think
ball's
it's
passed
a
him before
great,
he's even got a chance to move.
it's a great finish.
That's a brilliant goal.
And also, you need to remember it's the 90th minute, and you're thinking the game's done. I mean,
I was
it was
thinking that.
literally the last kick of the
Couldn't
ball.
see Celtic scoring a goal at all.
What I would say is that, and I think there's a little bit more controversy in this, even though I agree with the decision, the St
The
Mirren
offside.
goal that disallowed, right? Because
Yeah.
I see it in two parts, right? Liam Scales definitely scores the own goal,
Yeah.
but Cal McMenamin, I think it's Cal McMenamin is offside, right? There's
Hmm.
no doubt about those two things, right?
Yeah.
The doubt is,
The reason Scales does what he does is because he sees him in his peripheral.
I don't think
Basically.
he does. That's what I
Well,
don't think. I don't,
well, that's what
even
they're
though I
saying
think
on.
he's
That's what
in,
they said
I
on the
know,
telly.
I don't think he does. I don't think he takes his eye off that ball. And I think what I would say is, right, see the player that's going for the ball with Scales, right? I think his name's Freckleton, right?
Freckleton, yeah.
What would happen if Freckleton had put that in the net? Would you have said that goal should be disallowed?
Well,
Just
if
out
he's
of interest.
offside, then aye.
No, no, but he wasn't offside though. Freckleton, right? So Freckleton and Scales were both going for the ball. McMenamin's in front of them, right? So if the St Mun player had hit it right, do you
Hmm.
think that goal should stand? Because I do, because he isn't in the line of the keeper. He's not interfering with play.
So then
The
why was
only
it chopped
issue
off
is
then?
because Scales can make the point that he's interfering with his ability to clear the ball or whatever he did, which he
All right.
didn't do anything.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that's what they're saying. So I think it's
So
a really
I thought they
grey area.
chopped it off because the guy was offside. There was a guy offside in the build up to it.
No, he is offside, but I think they're saying that because he's offside, he impacts and Scales' ability to clear it properly
Clear it
or
properly.
whatever.
Well, I'm glad it got chopped off, obviously, but
I
you know,
think it's one of those ones that I think over the summer, and you're seeing a lot of them in England, these players are in the line of the goalkeeper, they're offside, but they're not offside. It's a real grey area. See, to me, and I mean, we can't just bring it in now, but we need to bring it in for next season. See if the player doesn't touch the ball, or like
you can't
jump
bring it in
over the
now
ball.
because
No, but I
that's
think for
just
next season,
ridiculous.
I
Aye.
think if a player doesn't touch the ball and they're offside and they're that far out for goal, we should be seeing goals for that because I don't think he's in the line of view of the keeper, and I don't think he does a lot wrong, if I'm honest. But
Yeah.
I understand why it's disallowed. But I do think that Simon can feel hard done by, only in the sense that um, I thought that they were the better side in the
Yeah,
first half, and
yeah.
I don't think they deserve to lose the game. And I
Hmm.
don't think any Celtic fan would say that they deserve to uh, win the game either. A
Oh
draw
no,
would have been a fair
we were
result.
poor. I think that. Well, Martin O'Neill said that after the game. Martin O'Neill said a
Aye,
draw looked like the fair
he did.
result, and then obviously Callum McGregor scores an absolute worldie. So
But yeah, if we move on to Sunday before we talk about the title race, Aberdeen Hearts. What I would say is it was a game of two halves. Because I thought in the first half Aberdeen were really good. They
yeah,
moved the ball really well, scored a decent
they
goal for
scored their goal.
Keskinen.
Hmm.
I thought the second half they were poor, and I thought Hearts were better, but they just didn't really test the keeper enough for all their good play. Like they got chances,
Hearts
but
were
they
better,
never
but they
hit
still
the
weren't good
target.
enough.
Yeah, I don't think you could have begrudged them a draw if they'd got something
No,
based
no.
on the balance of play. But at the same time,
But I'm glad they
they've got
didn't.
draws in games, or they've won games that maybe they deserved to draw previously. Do you know what I mean?
So
Like
maybe it's
it's
what do
balanced
you
it out.
call it? It's balancing itself out.
Yeah, because put it this way, they didn't deserve a point against Motherwell, right? Where they came
No,
back, it was three each, wasn't it?
I don't think they deserved a point against St Mirren either. They should have get beaten that game.
No, no, no.
So they've rode their
So
luck a lot this
you
season,
get
really.
you get your wee bit of luck, but they didn't get the luck
No,
on Sunday, and it now means that Celtic are 4 points behind
with
with a
a
game
game
in
in
hand,
hand. Hmm.
and Rangers are 9 points behind
9 points
with a game in
behind,
hand.
with a game in hand.
So Rangers are. I don't think Rangers are out this title race now, and I think that's
No.
a good segue to get on to the
Hmm.
next talking point, because I think that part of the reason Rangers made that decision today is because they don't think they're out the title race, and they now realise that January is huge.
Well, they've already spent a fortune in the summer. So what do you do with all these players that you've bought in the summer? What do you do with them? Ship them out on
Well,
loan if you're not going to give them a game, or if they're not good enough.
depends what you mean by fortune, right? Because yes, they've spent a fortune on Churmity, right?
Aye.
8 million, absolute disaster, right? But like 2 million on Ant Man, I don't think is a disaster,
No,
because I
no.
do think that he could come good, or you could get your
But was
money
there no?
back for him.
Did you know buy folk for 4 million and 5 million and that? What about
Yeah,
that
I'm going
guy
to come at Asgard.
Fernandez or whatever his name is?
Fernandez, I think Fernandez just deserves a chance. I know it's 3.5 million, but who's to say he won't come good? I
Well, he
wouldn't be giving
scored.
up on
Did he
him.
not scored
He
yesterday?
scored, aye,
Scored.
he scored, aye. And they could have given away a penalty, as we know. But at the end of the day, though, he's one of those players that for me, I wouldn't be giving up on.
Mm.
Asgard's one that disappoints, because for 4 million, he's offering nothing.
Well, Ant-Man's disappointed and all. I would say.
Yeah,
Like,
but
I'm
he's
no a
only
Rangers
two
man, but
million, and I think that. But I still think I can see something in Ant Man. I just don't necessarily think we're playing to his strengths yet. If you get, and let's be honest, all wingers are confidence players. See if Ant Man scores a goal or sets up a goal, you might see like a different level. Because
right.
look at
Well,
Nicholas Kuhn, right? I'll give Nicholas Kuhn as a great example. Zero confidence in his first 6 months, right?
yeah,
Then, and I know he had some tooth issues and that, but that's not really the issue. But he didn't have confidence. He was playing like a winger without confidence. Then, come the summer, whatever happened,
gets a
he,
pre-season
he
under his
got
belt.
gets a good pre-season, scores a couple of goals, gets a couple of assists. He looks like a different player, and that's why I
Hmm.
think Rangers shouldn't be in too quick a rush to just chib people out the door. Yes, people like Rothwell, I'd get rid of him, because we only spent
Right.
about 500,000 on him. Right, you can get that back for a
What do
championship
you
side.
What do you make of it then? What do you make of the Thelwell Stewart thing? What do you make of it?
Um, I think it makes sense, because I think Rangers board must just be absolutely sick of hearing somebody out, somebody out, somebody out.
The chance.
And the Patrick Stewart one, I completely understand, because he's been a disaster, right, since he came in.
Well, he's been
From
there since before Thelwell, hasn't
Yeah, he came in he came in right after the cup final last year, right? And the first thing he should have done, he broke his own rules on his first day, right? Because Rangers got, as you know, a terrible decision against them in that cup final, where Tierney's pull inside outside the box thing, right? He
he? Yeah.
did nothing about it. He didn't. He didn't complain. He didn't bitch and moan. Do you know what I think? Right, and I'm going to go on to Celtics one. A CEO should be a bit of a. I'll use my language carefully here, right? But a bit of a knob, right? A bit of that guy who's going to fight your corner, who isn't going to really take any crap. And Patrick Stewart just looked like a really weak individual. Whereas if
Yeah.
Celtic had had that issue, right, and they'd had a penalty denied, right, there was a penalty, you would not have heard Peter Lawwell stop moaning about that. You would not have heard the media
No, but
going
Michael
crazy
Nicholson's
because
the
Celtic.
CEO. It's no,
I know,
it's no Peter Lowell.
but people take it. But people, you've got people above that take that kind of ownership
Yeah.
when Celtic feel robbed. I mean, just look at that penalty last year, the other year against Hearts. That was a definite not penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Celtic bitched and moaned about it for about 6 months.
Aye.
Like, and that's how you should be if you feel
Yeah.
wrongly. And I just don't think this is what I'm going about. Patrick Stewart's just a really weak individual that he wasn't. He was in the wrong movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thelwell
And
one, I think, is
Thelwell.
a wee bit different because I don't necessarily think that one window is enough
But what about
to
his boy?
judge whether somebody's good.
His boy's just
Like,
come in. So what happens to him?
well, he's still employed, and
That's
so is all the other people. But maybe they just feel that he's not leading it very well, and maybe they're looking for someone who's more of a leader. But then I don't know. But what I would say though is that I've heard that Rangers are interested in. I'm sure you'll remember him as a footballer, Carlos Bocanegra. He's a
uh,
big American centre
American.
back.
Yep.
Yep. Now he at Atalanta. Oh no, sorry, I keep saying Atalanta. Atlanta
Atlanta.
United over in America. He was their director of football for about 4 years, and he left in 2024.
Right.
To me, that would make sense, not just because he's ex Rangers, but because he's American and ex Rangers.
Did
I
he
think
play for
it'd be
Rangers? Thought it was Claudio
yeah, yeah.
Reyna.
No, both of them did.
All right.
Bocanegra played right before we went into the administration
Right.
because he was actually quite a solid enough centre back.
They couldn't have been there that
But
long.
no, but we had a few at the time because we had Morris Edu and him. We had a few Americans, and but he was decent. But I think he'd be a good link in terms of he's played for the club. He knows the club.
See
He's
this thing I'm
American,
saying?
so
He knows the
I
club, he
don't.
knows the city.
No, I know, but I think he'll understand the kind of mentality because I think one of the problems that Kevin Thelwell had is he just didn't get it. He didn't know because let's be honest, if you've got somebody in that role, right,
Mm-hmm.
it takes a different type of skill set to be a Celtic or Rangers player because it's not
I
all
know
about
that.
skill. It's not all about ability. It's about what's going on in between your ears.
I know.
It's about mentality as much as anything else. And that's why sometimes I think maybe having an ex-player in that kind of role
Mm-hmm.
might might be a good idea. And obviously, the fact that he's American would maybe be a good link. Now, I don't think he should be making all the decisions. I'm not saying that at all, but I think it'd be a good link to the American owners and to the Rangers fans to kind of smooth things over.
Yep.
But it's 5 weeks to that transfer window opens, and we need to get our fingers out, shall we say?
Yeah, we're going
Because
to have to do it as well.
at this point, you should be identifying players and not trying to identify a guy to identify the players. If you
Well,
get what I mean.
that's my worry because
Um,
I'm hoping that behind the scenes that we'll get to it in a minute, of course, that the
yeah,
incoming Celtic manager is going to be identifying players behind the scenes
well, yeah, we'll go on to that. So it looks like from all reports that I've seen today, Wilfried Nancy will be taking over next Monday, the
next Monday,
1st
the
of
1st of
December,
December.
straight after the Martin O'Neill will get the Feyenoord and Hibs games,
Hibs game.
and then that's it.
Yep,
Hibs
as
game
far
will
as I
be
know.
his
And
goodbye,
his first
and
game will be Dundee, and then obviously Hearts. As we get the
yeah,
dreaded
it's
10-minute warning.
yep. So they don't think we've got too much on the European ties anyway to get through, but yeah, I think it's a good appointment. I think when he gets announced, we'll do a kind of a sort of emergency pod. I think to go through it more about the timings, but I think that makes sense to give Martin O'Neill that last two because at least the Celtic fans should get that knowing that it's his last game.
Yep.
So they should get it announced this week. Tell him, let everyone know that he'll be starting next Monday and give Martin O'Neill the send off he kind of deserves because he's come in
Hopefully
and
he
done a
gets a
good
good
job.
send off. Yep. Oh,
I
he's
mean, I
been
hope he's
brilliant.
got absolutely battered at Easter Road, but that's by the by. I actually think you will lose, if I'm totally honest. I just think Hibs are all wrong for you right now. If you play the way you did on Saturday,
Oh, definitely.
Hibs will take
We can't play
Hibs will
like
take
that.
3 or 4 off you. I actually
Can't
believe
play
that.
like
Like, and by the way, if we were playing Hibs next week, I'd say the exact same thing.
that.
Because if Rangers played the way they did against Livingston, in fact, if Rangers played the way they did against Livingston as a Falkirk, we'll lose as well.
Aye,
But we do have games before then, so we'll quickly touch
aye.
on the European ties.
European ties.
Uh, I don't think we need to go into any great detail about them. I mean, Celtic and Rangers and Aberdeen are. I don't think there's any real chance of them making the playoffs now.
No, I'll say
But what they
that
can do.
the Hibs game next week is the most important one out of the games coming up. I'd say.
Oh, what a goal that is! Everton just scored an absolute belter.
Right.
But what I do think is for the coefficient, I think we need to start
Need to
seeing
start
some
winning
wins on
games.
the board.
Need to start getting winning
So
games. Yeah.
I think we'll go through them all. We'll start with, I think Celtic's the first kick-off, so they're the early
Aye.
kick-off
The
away to
early one.
Feyenoord. What
Yep.
I would say, Feyenoord aren't in any great shapes. I think they got beat 4-2 off NEC Breda at home at the weekend. They've
They
got a
did.
lot of injuries. I think it's a game that if Celtic get right, they can escape with a draw for me. They could win, but I think they could get a draw. And I remember he's going to Feyenoord and doing okay as well. Apart from, I think he's lost two men and a terrible. I think
That
it
was
was one of the very
the
few Joe
season where
Hart errors.
we
He
played them at
lost.
Celtic Park and we won 1-0. Lagerbielke scored the goal.
I think I'm going to go bold here, and I'm going to say 2-2. That will finish. I think Celtic will get a point.
I
Because
actually
honestly,
think
I think
Celtic will
Celtic
win
and
this one.
Rangers have kind of given up, and I think that sometimes when you give up, the pressure's off, and you kind of start playing
I think it'll be
with
a
a bit of
tough game,
freedom.
but I still think
Yeah,
Celtic. I think Celtic will edge it. But
yeah.
if they can find some sort of form, they'll edge it. And I think they'll win 2-1 maybe.
Okay, I'm going to go two each.
I would accept a draw, but 2-1 I'll
If we
say.
go with Rangers Braga, again, I think the pressure's off for Rangers, and I think they might actually play quite well. And I actually think this news today might actually get the crowd back in the team rather than looking for a reason to moan at the team.
Just chant
There
stuff
is
throughout the game.
injuries and stuff, and I do understand that there's a few injuries, and obviously European squads limit certain players that can play. But I think I'm going to say 2-1 Rangers, only because we've got a great record against Braga. Nothing else. Braga have never won at Ibrox, and I think although they won at Celtic Park, I think Celtic were
You're going
remarkably
2-1.
poor that night. Yeah,
2-1
I'm
you
going to go
said?
2-1 Rangers. Yeah.
I'll go 1-1. One each a
Yeah.
draw.
And Aberdeen against Noah. Now this is a tricky one because I don't think
I
Noah are
have
as
to say
bad.
I don't know much about Noah, if I'm being honest
No,
with you.
they're Armenian. They're decent. I don't think that they've got 4 points, and Aberdeen have got 1 point. Put it that way.
Well, there's not that much of a
But
difference.
Aberdeen's at home.
Right.
I'm
Hopefully
going to
that'll
say 2-1 to Aberdeen, but I think it won't be without its
hmm.
struggles.
Oh, it'll be a tough game, but I think Aberdeen will beat them as well, because as I said, that's a game they should be competing in to win.
Yeah,
Because
no,
it's a team
absolutely.
they could be coming up toe to toe with, and they should be able to
Yeah,
match that
what
team.
I would say is, actually, when watching Aberdeen yesterday, I thought Stuart Armstrong was brilliant, and I think he could. I think we spoke the other night about players that can make a late push for the Scotland squad.
Yeah.
Why not him? Because
But he's
see,
not retired
watching that,
for international football, has he? He's not retired, has he?
I don't, I don't see how he's any worse than Ryan Christie. And I'm not saying Ryan
Right.
Christie's bad, right? But
No.
he offers so much more though in terms of just there's a quality about his end product. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
with Ryan Christie, I often think it's rushed and a bit.
Aye.
It's not very consistent, right? And you know that from Ryan Christie.
Of course,
Sometimes
Bill.
you'll hit the top bin, and sometimes you'll hit the next
Sky it.
stadium.
Sky it.
So, but I do think there's a gracefulness about Stuart Armstrong, the way he sort of glides about the pitch. And I know he's older now, but I
Yeah.
don't think you can have too many creative players in your squad. So I think he
Mm-hmm.
could make a late charge.
Yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, I think
I
and
think
then
Aberdeen
next
will
week,
win. I think they'll win 2-1. I'll go 2-1 as well.
yeah, but I think it'd be a good week for Scottish football if we can get some victories.
Mm-hmm. We'll see.
And obviously we're back on Friday to preview next weekend's games.
Yeah.
Which I think obviously the highlight ones are obviously Hibs against Celtic,
Yeah. That's the lunchtime
Motherwell
kickoff on Sunday.
Hearts, and I have to say Rangers Falkirk's also a big game because
Uh-huh.
Falkirk can go ahead of us if they win.
Who did you say was playing Hearts? Sorry, Motherwell.
Motherwell at home to Hearts,
Motherwell.
so that's a
Right.
brilliant game.
Aye.
So yeah, I mean
Mhm.
I'm expecting some
Hopefully
drop
Motherwell
points.
can get a decent result against
I
Hearts. I'm
genuinely
hoping.
think that I would not be surprised if the top three all drop points next weekend.
Yeah. We'll cross that bridge when
If
we come to it.
if they play the way they did this weekend, next
Oh,
weekend, they
definitely.
will drop points.
Hmm. Yeah.
But you're obviously hoping that they're just the kind of blip. But it didn't feel like a blip from Rangers, and it certainly didn't feel like a blip from Celtic. Celtic have been
Mm.
like that all season, just passive and shit,
Aye.
and relying on individuals to bail them out.
Hmm.
But we'll see. It's always as with ever with Scottish football. It's a new weekend. It's just
Yeah, it's never a
it's
dull
going to
moment.
be it'll be mental. But we'll end it there.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Well,
we'll
I'll
reconvene on Friday.
right. See you on Friday.
Right. Cheers.
Right.
Right.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.